Imagine waking up one morning to find that the price of food has doubled, jobs have become harder to find, and entire industries are being run by machines instead of people. This is not a distant science fiction scenario. It is a possibility that economists and policymakers in Washington, New York, and around the world are actively discussing today. The global economy is entering a period of transformation driven by three powerful forces: war, debt, and artificial intelligence. These forces are already reshaping how countries trade, how businesses hire workers, and how families plan their futures. The question is no longer whether the world economy will change. The real question is which nations and individuals will adapt quickly enough to benefit and which will fall behind. To understand where the world is heading, it is necessary to look at what is happening right now. The ongoing Russia-Ukraine war has disrupted global food and energy markets in ways few people expected. Before the conflict, Ukraine was responsible for roughly 10% of global wheat exports and a significant share of corn and sunflower oil shipments. When ports were blocked and supply chains were interrupted, food prices surged worldwide. In the United States, grocery prices rose sharply during 2022 and 2023, contributing to the highest inflation rates Americans had seen in decades. This demonstrates a critical economic reality. Conflicts in one region can quickly affect the daily expenses of families thousands of miles away. Another major factor shaping the global economy is government debt. According to the International Monetary Fund, total global public debt has exceeded 90% of the world's total economic output, reaching levels not seen since the aftermath of major global crises. In the United States alone, federal debt has surpassed $34 trillion. Servicing this debt requires large interest payments, which means governments have less money available for infrastructure, healthcare, education, and social programs. When interest rates rise, borrowing becomes more expensive for businesses and consumers, slowing economic growth and increasing financial pressure on households. Inflation is closely linked to debt and supply disruptions. During the COVID-19 pandemic, governments injected trillions of dollars into their economies to prevent collapse. While this stimulus helped businesses survive, it also increased the amount of money circulating in the system. At the same time, supply chains were weakened due to factory shutdowns and transportation delays. The result was a classic economic imbalance: too much demand chasing too few goods. In the United States, inflation peaked at over 9% in 2022, the highest level in more than 40 years. Although inflation has since moderated, the experience revealed how fragile modern economies can be when global systems are disrupted. Energy markets represent another critical component of the global economic outlook. Oil and natural gas remain essential for transportation, manufacturing, and electricity generation. When geopolitical tensions rise in major energy-producing regions, prices tend to fluctuate dramatically. For example, instability in the Middle East has historically led to sudden increases in oil prices, which then raise transportation and production costs across the economy. Higher fuel costs translate directly into higher prices for goods and services, from airline tickets to groceries. Energy security is therefore not just a political issue, it is a core economic concern for households and businesses. Trade relationships between major economies are also undergoing significant changes. The United States and China, the world's two largest economies, are increasingly competing in areas such as technology, manufacturing, and supply chains. Companies that once relied heavily on overseas factories are now reconsidering where they produce goods. This shift, often called reshoring or friendshoring, aims to reduce dependence on foreign suppliers and improve national security. However, relocating factories can increase production costs, which may lead to higher prices for consumers. The long-term outcome will depend on how efficiently countries manage this transition. While wars, debt, and trade tensions create economic uncertainty, another force is rapidly transforming the global landscape: artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is no longer limited to research laboratories or technology companies. It is now being integrated into hospitals, banks, logistics networks, and manufacturing plants. In the United States, businesses are using AI to analyze customer behavior, detect fraud, optimize delivery routes, and automate repetitive tasks. According to research by major consulting firms, AI could add trillions of dollars to the global economy over the next decade by increasing productivity and reducing operational costs. However, the rise of AI also raises concerns about employment. Studies suggest that routine jobs involving predictable tasks are most vulnerable to automation. These include data entry, administrative support, and certain types of customer service roles. At the same time, new opportunities are emerging in fields such as software development, cybersecurity, healthcare technology, and data analysis. Historically, technological revolutions have not eliminated work entirely. Instead, they have changed the types of skills that workers need. The challenge for governments and individuals is to invest in education and training that prepares people for these new roles. The competition to lead in artificial intelligence is becoming a defining feature of global economic power. The United States currently holds a strong position due to its advanced research institutions, innovative companies, and large technology sector. Meanwhile, countries such as China and India are investing heavily in AI infrastructure, education, and digital transformation. This race is not just about technology, it is about economic influence, national security, and global leadership. Nations that develop strong AI capabilities are likely to experience faster productivity growth and higher incomes. Another emerging trend shaping the future economy is demographic change. In many developed countries, populations are aging as birth rates decline and life expectancy increases. This demographic shift creates pressure on pension systems and healthcare services, while reducing the size of the workforce. The United States is expected to face labor shortages in several industries over the next decade, particularly in healthcare and skilled trades. AI and automation may help fill these gaps, but they cannot fully replace human expertise and judgment. Climate change is becoming an economic factor that governments cannot ignore. Extreme weather events, rising sea levels, and changing agricultural conditions are increasing the cost of disaster recovery and infrastructure maintenance. Insurance companies are raising premiums in regions vulnerable to hurricanes, floods, and wildfires. Businesses are investing in renewable energy and climate resilience to reduce long-term risks. These investments require significant funding, but may also create new industries and employment opportunities in clean technology and environmental management. Financial markets provide another indicator of how the world economy is evolving. Investors closely monitor interest rates, inflation data, and corporate earnings to assess economic health. When uncertainty rises, markets often become volatile as investors adjust their expectations. In recent years, stock markets have experienced sharp fluctuations in response to geopolitical events and economic data releases. This volatility reflects the interconnected nature of modern economies, where news from one country can influence financial decisions worldwide within minutes. Looking ahead to 2035, economists generally outline three possible scenarios for the global economy. In the first scenario, technological innovation and international cooperation lead to steady economic growth. Governments successfully manage debt levels, invest in infrastructure, and expand access to education and digital skills. Businesses adopt AI responsibly, creating new industries and improving productivity. Under this outcome, living standards rise, unemployment remains manageable, and economic stability is maintained. In the second scenario, economic inequality becomes the dominant challenge. Wealth and technological advantages concentrate in a small number of countries and corporations, while others struggle to compete.
Workers without advanced skills face limited job opportunities, and social tensions increase as income gaps widen. Governments may respond by introducing new taxes, regulations, or social programs to address disparities. The effectiveness of these policies will depend on political stability and public trust. In the third scenario, geopolitical conflicts intensify, disrupting trade routes and investment flows. Defense spending increases as nations prioritize security over economic development. Businesses delay expansion plans due to uncertainty, slowing job creation and innovation. Financial markets react negatively, leading to reduced consumer confidence and lower economic growth. While this scenario is not inevitable, it highlights the importance of diplomacy and cooperation in maintaining global stability. Despite these uncertainties, one principle remains consistent throughout economic history: adaptation determines success. Countries that invest in education, technology, and infrastructure are more likely to